was lucky because my friend has a timeshare there.
Okay, now we are live. All right, we are now live. And hello, everybody. As I get rid of my iTunes screen here, it should be going away in a second, and it is gone. Yes, and we are live. And I've got my two favorite Raider fans. On the left, Bauce Man. On the right, Dr. Death, outside of his clothes. How you doing? Hello, sirs. And I'm at the bottom. And great to see both of you. And I'm going to basically open it up. What we were talking about, folks, is the Las Vegas, Oakland Raiders relocation issue. And I am not going to tomorrow's meeting. And so we were discussing why that is. But before we get into that, first, I want you guys' thoughts on the relocation process right now, where we are, and what you would like to see happen or not happen.
Go ahead, boss. Go ahead, lead it off, man.
Oh, why do I gotta lead it off, though? Let Big Mouth go first.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess we know that. I guess it's reported by yours truly, by you, Zenny, and then everybody else had to pick up on it. And Daniel Kaplan of the Sports Biz Journal gives Zenny his credit. He's the first person to break it. You should have gave him credit, but you didn't. But anyhow, I guess Libby Schaff and Oakland are going to be presenting in front of the NFL Finance Committee, I guess, to talk about their proposal or their plan that they just sent, going back almost 2 weeks ago. I guess there's some clarifications and other things that need to be explained to the owners before they can even sign off or even consider anything coming from Oakland. I know that Las Vegas has had snags with the financing because Sheldon Adelson and Goldman Sachs have pulled out. Now, Mark Bedane has tried to assure people, and I'm not sure how much validity is to it, that there are at least two banks lined up to help them, I guess, secure funding for this project over there for $1.9 billion or so. But we've seen no evidence of that. I mean, there's no land, because if you look on the Nevada assessor's site and you even put up the parcel number, you don't see anything. So, and the sign for land for sale by CRBE or CBRE, whatever, however you say it, it still says land for sale, though. Usually when you have an option, they take that thing down and the land's still not up for sale, because if it's still up for sale, anybody can call and try to take over land. But I know that they're supposed to be presenting at the meeting as well. I guess they're going to have two competing proposals or plans competing against each other, see who gets access to, I guess, present in front of the whole ownership group, March 26th to 28th down in Phoenix. And on the 9th, I believe, tell me if I'm wrong, there's a stadium authority meeting, and you can see the agenda online, but I don't see anything being, I guess, to be put into action. I guess there's possible action, I guess, at the end of the adjournment of the meeting, but if you don't have finances or the financials going to be released, as Jeremy Aguero did say a couple of weeks ago, then how can you have a lease? That would be illegal to try to have a lease, not release the financials, because the public dollar is at this. No matter if you say a hotel tax or what have you, the public dollar is still on the table here. So a lot of this stuff, man, I think a lot of stuff is going to be cleared up. In my opinion, I don't think they have any finances, especially with Jason Cole reporting when he just reported about Jerry Jones possibly trying to find people to invest in this project and him possibly.
Oh, you know what? Hey, boss, he tweeted out that that's not true anymore.
Well, what he said was that the Cowboy source said so, but he says two people who are real solid sources are saying that he tried. So,
yeah. You know what I think?
I don't know.
No, you know what I think happened? I think that Jerry tried with Sheldon Adelson, and I think he tried to revive that because he's a friend of Sheldon's, and it failed. But
that wouldn't surprise me.
That's what I think happened, because what happens is that this is basically a gossip mill, okay? And people, I think what happens, particularly with the way they do it, is the information gets kind of bastardized, and transfer from one person to the other. It's kind of like lore, right? So, that's what I think. What do you think, Ray?
Yeah, okay, so here's a couple of things, right? Because we've been doing this relocation saga has been going on for 4 or 5 years, and I've told people before. I told Sam Farmer when he was on my show about 6-7 months ago. I said we are currently living the next 30 for 30 on ESPN. Once we get all the stadium stuff figured out, someone, me, you, someone, we are going to be on the next 30 for 30, right?
Right.
And with so many moving dynamics, I think Bauce went into really specifics. And I don't want to get into specifics. Let's kind of just like on the surface, right? There's a couple of things. The first one, there's 2 words. One begins with a T and one begins with an I. The T word is transparency. Number one, transparency. What do you want? What do you want from anyone? And I'm asking that question to the NFL. When Eric Grubman came out to Oakland and says, this isn't good enough, you take 2 steps forward, 5 steps back. Okay, well, what do you want then? What's your expectations?
Right.
It's not like these are just private entities working amongst each other. We're talking about billions of dollars that you're expecting $250 million coming from season ticket holders like ourselves.
Right.
People that in communities like Oakland and Minnesota and Arizona, Indianapolis, that has spent millions of dollars of public money for $1 billion industry. We deserve to know what you expect from us. What are deadlines that you want? Because deadlines get deals done.
Right.
What's a deadline that we can say we failed or we succeeded? Okay. So I don't know. I would put as much blame on Mark Davis, on Roger Goodell as well, and Eric Grubman, because we don't really truly know when they go to the meeting tomorrow how to measure what their expectations are. That's number one.
Right.
Number two, I'm going to use this word called the I word, and it's involvement. There's so much, like I mentioned, rumor mills, right?
Yep.
Zenny, let me ask you something. How
Yes, sir.
often do you and I talk?
Once a week, I guess. Quite a lot.
No, not even. Maybe once every 4 months, maybe.
Maybe. I'll make it more often. You know what I'm getting confused about? I consider you like part of Bauce. So I feel like
no, for sure. But the reason why I'm asking is so you talk to Bauce more than I do, and me and you barely talk. The reason why I bring this up is because when I tweet stuff out, I Periscope stuff out, you YouTube stuff, people say, oh, you must talk to Zinni all the time. No, I don't. It's you and I and Bauce and Grizz and Ed. We all say the similar things from what we're hearing because we're both involved in the community. Maybe I don't live in Oakland. Get that. Totally understand that. But like me, you, Bauce, we're involved in Oakland. When those cameras turn off, the microphones turn off, and everything turns off, and we're talking to people because we're involved, our expectations, our predictions are, wait a minute, this doesn't line up. Like Bauce mentioned the money in Las Vegas.
Right.
And that's the point that I'm saying is because we're both involved. That's why we're like-minded people, is because we see we've been through this before. I think you've been through this before with the Raiders moving the first time, the Raiders coming back, and now you're seeing Mark, who's NFL broke, is trying to take on 2 banks, allegedly. Then I ask, well, does he have assets to take them on? What's his interest rate going to be? Is anybody asking questions in the NFL?
Yeah, I had a conversation about that with someone connected with this. I can't say who last night. And they asked me, they said, Zinni, what is it? Okay, let's say if they have U.S. Bank and Bank of America, what are they looking at? And I said, what they're looking at is it's more than $650 million. It's $738 million. Yet, and then any reputable banker is going to say, hey, look, let's say it's a debt coverage ratio 1.5 to 1. That's $1.1 billion roughly they've got to come up with, actually a little more than that. And they've got to show that the stadium's going to throw that off over a 30-year period. If they can't show that, it can't work. And then if they turn around and say we're going to cut into that revenue stream, there's a problem. So, and then on top of that, if they go to the stadium authority and say, hey, look, we want you to back this bond, the stadium authority is going to want at least that. So the problem that the Raiders face in Las Vegas is they've got, I call it an overhang of extra cost in terms of debt, because Remember the original? You guys followed the SNTIC like I did. Remember the whole tax increment financing deal?
Right.
All right.
Right.
They got rid of that. Okay, and because they got rid of that, and they capped themselves, they being the Nevada government at $750 million, they can't cough up any more money. That's the Raiders. They've got to cough it up, and that means the bankers. So it's really more than $650 million they're on the hook for. What do you think, boss?
Yeah, I mean, the numbers don't match. I mean, and just to piggyback off what Dr. Jeff just said, yeah, we talk to each other, but we also talk to other people.
Yep.
Then he has sources that I don't know. I have sources that they don't know. It goes like that.
Well, see, Jason Cole Jason Cole used to talk to me, but see, he traded brothers. He stopped talking to me. Now he talks to you. I always wanted to say that.
I talk to, from time to time, but it's pretty funny though. You know what I'm saying? Me and him, he's actually cool. Me and him go at it about Cal and Stanford and stuff. I mean, he's actually cool.
Yeah.
He only can let me know so much though, and then I gotta ask him questions after he tweets something. So it's cool like that, but I can't get all the inside dirt like I want to get though. But I do talk to other people who are involved in the finance world as well.
There goes that I word again, involved. And I bring that up, and here's why I'm accentuated too, right? I don't mean to interrupt you, Bob. The I word is specific is because we have people on Twitter who live hundreds of miles away that they think that their involvement constitutes of being on Twitter. And it's not like me and you and Bauce and all these people have secret meetings and say, we need to tweet this out. That's not the case. Our involvement consists of driving, flying, going to meet innocuous meetings, talking to people when the microphones and the cameras are off, and then, to accentuate the fact, we both come to similar conclusions because of our involvement and our experience of having an NFL team, which Vegas never has,
right,
and experiencing an NFL team leaving, which Las Vegas has never had. We know, as Oakland, we know what it's like for an NFL team to leave and still pick up the bill because the plan failed.
Right,
that's the
right.
difference.
Hey, I want to take time to say hi to everybody. Hi, Barry Lee, Jade Corney, Donald Richardson. I don't know if John Marks is there yet. Hello, everybody. If you guys have a question, I'm seeing the stream of chats on my left. You can chime in. Hey, something else too. Okay, the Raiders, I was told, are also going to present tomorrow, Monday. Now, get this. They're presenting it. They're going to go in with lease proposal, right? Hey, how you doing, John Finley? And now, they're not going to be ready because the lease proposal hasn't even been looked at by the stadium authority, and they meet on Thursday. All right. Now I'm told that Oakland has decided they want to save the best for last. So I don't know if they just drew straws, so they're going last. And it's Libby and her team. Larry Reed is not going there, but it's going to be the usual suspects, Mitch and the Fortress people. So and it's going to be in Boca Raton, as you know. So this is going to be quite interesting.
I really, really hope that Mark Bedane and Mark Davis are the one presenting their plan.
Mm-hmm.
I hope so.
Mm-hmm.
I do too. You know why? Because these guys here, Jeff Lurie, Stephen Ross, and Arthur Blank and Bob McNair, guys who are pretty much self-made guys who have worked their way up to make business happen, to be billionaires. Those guys are going to ask some real tough questions. What about this? What about that? What about the land?
Mm-hmm.
What about the debt ratio? What about the interest that, let's say, U.S. Bank, Bank of America, or Chase, as people have speculated, what are they offering you right now? What if you default? Are the banks going to own the team? Like, how can you mitigate that embarrassment for the NFL? There's a lot of things that I do not believe Mark Davis, and especially the underqualified, what's his name, Mark Bedane, I really do not believe that they're going to really have those answers. All they're going to say is, we have people lined up, they're talking, this and that, everything's going good. But if you guys remember, with Sheldon Adelson, everything was going good. Even after he said what he said from that teleconference from Tel Aviv, where he said the Raiders wanted too much. But then Steve Sisolak got on Twitter and said, we're crossing our T's and dotting our I's on this complicated deal.
He wasn't the only one to say that either.
Everybody was telling us that everything was great and perfect, and when it came time, they screwed the pooch on it because at the end of January, Joe Nadelson was out. He called the Raiders unethical. The things that they asked for, the disrespect they showed for people, especially Adelson. After it's really because of Adelson and Governor Sandoval that things are able to even get done there in Las Vegas. So I just think Mark Davis has really put himself in even a bigger corner. I thought it was uphill climb with Joe Nadelson, but it's just damn near impossible now that he's going to get anything done. And when he doesn't get anything done, what are his options?
Yes.
Go to Santa Clara, where he doesn't want to go. I guess try San Antonio, which is going to be a massive failure, even worse than Vegas, or has to work with Oakland. But nonetheless, he still has burned his bridges with people like me. I mean, if he gets something done with the politicians here, I guess, but he's burned his bridges with a lot of people. People hate his guts here. It's you guys don't hear the private conversations that we hear. People hate Mark Davis because if he really wanted to get this done, he would have reached out to Paul Leff and David Abrams.
I was just going to bring them up, too. Thank you for bringing that up.
They're loaded, and they can get this thing done immediately. From my sources, Roger Goodell would love for those guys to be involved, prefer those guys to be involved, even over Fortress, but Mark Davis wants to get all the credit for everything because from what I heard, he doesn't even like Leff and Abrams because he's threatened by people who are smarter than him. And I say this, if you're threatened by people smarter than you, Mark Davis, then you shouldn't even walk into a kindergarten classroom in America.
Hey, I got to say a shout out. Darren Arata. Hey, how you doing, Darren? He's on the...
Darren!
This is what Darren says.
Hey, Cindy, if you have the chance, can you able to tweet that out? I don't know if you can.
I did once. Yeah, I'll do it again because I have to actually move the thing over. I did tweet it out once. I'll do it again. Yeah, but here's real quick. Darren Arata says, please let Davis and Boudin present their LV wet dream. Boudin already looked like an immature stooge when he pouted and yelled bullshit during the last Finance and Stadium Committee meeting. Johnny Fanuli says, hey, boss, how you doing? I guess you guys were talking NFL draft stuff, so he's a shout-out to you. Now, Ray, you're on. You're going to say something. Sorry.
Zenny, I want to ask you something because this has been going on for about 4 years, right?
Yeah.
And this is exactly what Bauce just brought up. David Abrams and Fell, right? Fell, minority owners. They didn't just come on last week.
No.
They've been minority owners for like the last 10 years.
Right.
Almost 10 years.
Right.
How is it? Because I brought this up on my Periscope the other day because someone said, hey, do you know who these minority owners are? And I looked them up, and when I noticed when I brought it up on Periscope, people started talking about it. Why are they just being brought up right now?
Well,
I'm going to take it. And I mean this.
Sure.
I mean this in the tone of you have to do everything you possibly can and exhaust all your resources. So once Carson failed, you couldn't get it done in Oakland. Las Vegas is about to fail. How is the question of them not being brought up? For whatever reason, they're not working.
I'm going to take a guess, and just based on my own experience, and say that they would have to be under a confidentiality clause and a morals clause. And anytime you take a board seat with a corporation, your morals clause, depending on the nature of what you're asked to do as a board member, could extend from don't get a DUI to don't make these statements in public, or we'll do X, Y, and Z, okay? So the bottom line is when you're in that position, you're stuck. You can't go out there publicly. Now, having said that, it doesn't mean that there isn't anything happening behind the scenes, and, it would be nice to, I'd love to be a fly on the wall or an email, or maybe we should Trump style call the Russians and ask for a hacker. But the whole point is, okay, but the bottom line is, Boss's eyes lit up with that one. The bottom line is, there has to be some kind of back channel conversation going on there, okay? Without question. Let me go over to the other screen. I need to turn the sound down on the other side because people can hear that one, and I'll close that one so the double count isn't done. And then while I'm doing that, I'll tweet this out one more time so that people can see it, and I'll say a hashtag NFL there.
You know what the reality of it is that Mark is so handcuffed. He's handcuffed financially that he can't keep up with the big boys in the NFL. He can't build it on his own. And even if he were to bring in Abrams and LaFell, if I'm saying the name correctly, he would have to give up a portion of his team to where he risks losing majority ownership. So he's handcuffed either way.
Hey, by the way, I keep getting interruptions from a guy named Money Man. Money Man's hilarious. Money Man, I know who you are. By the way, I don't want to out you, but you're completely wrong. I'm just saying. I'm saying, go ahead, boss.
No, I mean, but it's Paul left, actually, not Fell, but Paul left. But
Paul left. There you go. Excuse me.
The thing is, what I'm told by somebody who knows that without a shadow of a doubt, and if anybody tries to dispute it, they don't know what they're talking about. Paul left and David Abrams think Las Vegas is stupid and it doesn't make sense. You see all the gentrification, you see the business acumen supposedly of this East Bay area actually kind of rising here. They see that this franchise, and I think you said it before, Zenny, that it would be worth $3.5 billion with the new stadium in Oakland.
Yeah.
They see more potential with the stadium being here than in Las Vegas. It doesn't make sense. The Raiders are banking on 42% visitors, which is 27,300 people to come, 6,000 parking spaces or a little bit above that on 60 acres of land or 62 acres. It just is not going to match. You're banking on Uber, the cheap monorail, which only can hold, maybe 60, 70 people. It's not that many people. People walking, all kind of things that are really iffy at best. This stuff is not concrete, and I just don't think, in my mind, the NFL is going to play with this, though. It's like, it's a waste of time. I heard some owners are saying this doesn't even pencil out. I've heard at the...
Oh, I told you that.
Yeah, I heard at one of the finance meetings that a couple of owners stopped in the middle and said, why are we doing this? This is obviously there's more money here in the Bay Area market. And for all you people that say, oh, just Oakland by itself, San Francisco depends on Oakland and San Jose, just as all the other cities depend on each other as far as a market goes. If you don't know what a market means, go look up the definition. Okay?
Right, and I want to add I want to add something that Oakland is right in the geographic middle of the Bay Area. Hey, I want you to go, and Ray, I want to share something with you regarding a backstory about Keith Carson getting after you at the Alameda County meeting, because I got some news for you.
Go ahead.
Okay. What happened, folks?
To
set the stage is that my man Ray was doing his thing and giving his testimony at the ENA meeting on Tuesday morning, December 14th, and Alameda County Supervisor Keith Carson got on the mic and I thought very inappropriately tried to tear you a new one, because he claimed that the no vote, the idea that he was going to vote no, came from you. Now, I wanted to jump up, and I got some news for you. I was going to jump up and actually go to the mic and say, Keith, you need to get off him, because you and I talked the night before, and I told you who the leaker was. And the leaker was Sean, who works for Alameda County's board president, Scott Haggerty, okay?
Haggerty. And you know what? I didn't want to say that because I didn't want to make Scott Haggerty feel uncomfortable.
I didn't care, you know?
It's right there. But, I said, you know what? I'm going to bite my tongue and just walk away.
Yeah. I mean, you did a nice job. But I thought what Keith did was really wrong. And I played that out in my mind. I actually had a dream about that where I got up... of all the dreams to have, instead of having it, but I got up and said, hey, Keith, man, that was wrong. It was him. And Scott turned 3 shades of red. It was what's that guy, Sean? What's that guy's name, Sean? Yeah, I know Bauce is looking at me like, no, what are you talking about? I don't care. But the whole point is...
No, but what I'm saying is this, though. Ray would have looked wrong and would have looked stupid if Keith would have voted yes. But Keith, you voted no anyway. So guess what? His intel was correct. And you know what? I had no intel, and I already knew Keith Carson was going to say no. If you remember the year previous on some ENA stuff, or maybe 2 years ago, Alameda County's not in the sports business. That's what he said. Common sense told you that Keith was going to say no. And when it comes time for the official land transfer, if Fortress can, I guess, push this through, and if they get Wilma Chan on board, you know Keith is going to be the one. No, it's not going to be a clean sweep. He's going to say no, period, to a lot of big projects because for some reason, some in this area have this inferiority complex that they can't do. Like, the impossible needs to be achieved, but some people are like, oh, it's not possible. So when you have something like that, you always will have Oakland and the East Bay be held back and be in the San Francisco shadow forever. So guys like Keith Carson, I mean, if you don't want to change, why don't you just sit down? You can have a nice retirement package anyway, my man.
Mm-hmm.
Go and sit down. Sit this one out.
It's Sean Wilson. Haggerty's chief of staff, and you know, I wanted to add this too, right? We're not just here to like blow V8 and just talk about stories, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna go back, but I mean, I'm here. I'm gonna go back to the I word, right? Involvement, right? And there's a reason why we're on here. It's our involvement, the relationships that we've built. And going back to how I specifically went, not after Keith Carson, but because I knew he could be a no vote, I want to talk to him one-on-one, right?
Mm-hmm, right?
And I had told people, I went on my Periscope the day before, according to my source, Carson could potentially be a no vote. Turned out he was a no vote. A few months before that, I kept telling on my Periscope to everybody, that cookie, that Sheldon Adelson cookie is going to start to crumble.
Yep.
And it did. And I'm not here for my self-aggrandizement either. What I'm here is, what kind of credibility do we have compared to people who has promised and guaranteed that Sheldon Adelson is about to cross his T's and dot his I's?
Mm-hmm.
We're having this conversation because, look, this is the pulse that we have from the credibility that us collectively we've been right on. We can factually say, look, I told you this was going to happen. But I'm not here to say, hey, look, that's what's going to happen. We're here to be involved.
Right.
We're here to be involved as a community and make a difference where we can.
Well,
and for those people that say, we don't affect it, they don't care about what we say, oh, okay. So then why have the Raiders done 3 different focus groups in 3 cities then? I thought we don't matter then.
That's right. Hey, I want to welcome Dan Dog, Miguel Rose, and Bill McKinney. Bill McKinney has a question. He wants to know when the ENA is going to be signing Fortress deposit some money. Bill, they've already deposited $2 million as per the ENA agreement. The ENA was actually signed by the county and the city of Oakland December 14th. So that's been gone out of the way. Boss, what's up? What's on your mind?
Oh, everything is on my mind. I'm ready in an hour. Go see this movie Get Out, though. You know, everybody tell me it's good, so, you know, I'm getting juice about it.
Folks, that was an unpaid endorsement by Boss.
Exactly. Always plugging. Always
That's
plugging.
right.
But, you know, in this whole saga, I told people many times, I'm just so jealous of the Steeler fans, of the Packer fans.
Yeah. Cowboys.
Seattle.
Atlanta.
New York. I'm jealous of them, not because of the new stadiums, but because they don't have to deal with worrying about is their team going to stay? Are they going to leave? They don't have to deal with those things. They're just thinking about football. They're thinking about the upcoming draft. You just had the NFL Combine. You have some impressive young men getting ready to become millionaires in the next few months. And they're talking about, can those guys help them achieve the ultimate dream, which is to be Super Bowl champions?
Yep.
People all the other teams are talking about that except us. It's tiring. It's getting redundant. It's really boring. Me and Ray talk about it all the time. Yeah. We really want this thing to be done. We want the NFL to step up and to do the right thing. The right thing is Oakland.
Yeah.
And all kinds of sports economists talk about how this is a bad deal for Las Vegas and how it's just a bad deal for the NFL overall. So I don't know why they're entertaining this. Maybe it's to push Oakland, but I just think that this, too, about this meeting coming up, I'm hoping that Oakland has an ace up their sleeve. They have to have an ace up their sleeve.
Yeah.
Because they've been quiet. They've been really confident about, from what I've heard, about going into this meeting, the fact that they want to go after Davis because they think they're going to blow his socks off. As I said, where's the financing at?
Hey guys, Hector Vasquez says hi to both of you, by the way.
Who said that?
Hector Vasquez Jr. says hello to both of you.
Hey, what's up, Heck, man? What's going on, bro? But I'm just saying this, though. Then hear me out, guys.
Yes, we got it.
Hey, financing for banks. You know, our friend Fred Walker has said it takes 3 to 6 months to really get that thing nailed down. And they thought they had Goldman Sachs after Sheldon Adelson backed out. They were saying, oh, we got Goldman Sachs. It's all good. How could they have financing already within basically 6 weeks? How could they have it? That's virtually impossible. The Raiders have no collateral. They have no collateral. So what are they going to put up? They're going to put up the team?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. this is getting ridiculous. This is getting stupid now.
Yeah, normally it takes about 6 months to a year to secure financing for projects like this, from my experience. So it's not a quick and dirty thing by any means. You know.
Yeah, and go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, Jenny, you keep saying it to me, and you said it on video. They're rushing this and they're doing it too quick. And let me tell you, in life, it's just not even in this endeavor. When you do things quick and you don't take the proper steps and you cut in corners, you're gonna miss something.
And not only that,
the Raiders clearly are.
They're first timers here. I'm not being insulting. Mark Davis is a first timer owner. About 6 years ago, he wasn't. 7 years ago, he wasn't involved. He let go of Amy Trask. And then he just brought on Mark Bedane, the same press conference that Jack Del Rio was hired as president. And I remember Mark and I were standing there, and I was telling Mark about industrial development bonds, and I told him to call the California controller, and I gave him the phone number, and he was writing down the notes and everything. He was soaking up stuff like a sponge. So, and we had met, I think, the year before that at Buckhead at the NFL owners meeting, the spring league meeting, and I was trying to tell Mark about the history, as a report. Mark said, and I quote, I don't care about the past. I'm here about the future. I don't care. I got $400 million in my pocket. And Bedane grabbed me.
And notice how it hasn't changed.
Right.
I mean, it's changed by $100 million.
Right.
But notice since 2013,
Yeah.
his money has stayed the same. Look at David Abrams. His capital has increased by over $500 million, and he's still on the sideline. And and you were there, Zenny, when I was at the NFL owners meeting in 2015 in San Francisco.
Yep.
I asked Mark Davis, you have Carmen policy in Carson. Where's our Carmen policy? And his response was, I have a group of people. Do you mind showing me who these fictitious people are? Because you're not giving me my season tickets for free. I'm buying them. I'm traveling to watch your team, to watch the Raiders. I'm buying your merchandise. Again, there goes that I word, involved. I'm involved by keeping your brand alive and buying your season tickets. Where's my Carmen policy? And that's the thing. You're right. He's new. He was handed this mess. Fine. I get that. Who are you bringing on to help you with it, boss? You would know this. You know what you don't know. Where's your Reggie McKenzie of football stadiums? Has Mark Bedane built a stadium and has experience and we just don't know about it?
Mark Bedane should have never been hired. The brother who helped where the Super Bowl's going to be at this upcoming year with Mike Warren or Kevin Warren or whatever, he should have been hired because I heard the Raiders were talking with him. He should have been hired because he has experience getting these things done. Yeah. But Mark Bedane, who has recused himself of negotiations in Oakland, period, from what a source has told us, because he doesn't know enough about this. Mark Davis has recused himself from the table because he doesn't know enough about business. If you don't know anything about business or building stadiums, why in the hell are you even involved? Keyword, involved. Why are you involved? Why don't you move the hell out the way and get somebody who knows how to get this thing done? It doesn't make any sense. Let me tell you something. You don't go to an engineer for brain surgery, right? I mean, come on. Get the proper people in place. But they won't do it because they don't want to make it work in Oakland. I'm telling you, Mark Davis, it's an ego thing. He's intellectually intimidated by people in Northern California. He can't walk into a corporate room at Yahoo or Google or any of the big companies up here and wow the room and get people to invest. He knows that.
John can. Paul Allen can. Ziggy Wolf probably can. Arthur Blank can. You want to know why? Because that's what their assets are. Of being, that's how, what's his name? Shad Khan is a self-made billionaire. And can you imagine, Zenny, I want to ask you an honest question between you and I, me and you, right?
Yeah, sure, and about maybe 100,000 people.
What's that?
I said about maybe 100,000 people. We're getting good traffic tonight.
Oh, we're at 100,000 people?
Well, actually, we're not at 100,000, but we're at 1,000 in throughput.
Damn.
It's pretty good.
Okay, so Zenny, let me ask you this question. I'm asking you specifically because you're more seasoned. You've been involved, especially when I mean involved, you've been involved politically. You've served under staffs of former mayors. Yes, sir. When the Raiders came back. I want to ask you an honest question, okay?
Yeah.
In your opinion, how does Mark Davis, with a straight face, tell an owner like Shad Khan that Mark himself wants to move and he has 20,000 fans on a wait list? How does he do that with a straight face?
He doesn't. Well,
and with little to no marketing at that.
He would have to basically omit that information in the meeting. And I say that because there are people who claim that NFL owners have only been given half the picture by the Raiders. They haven't been given the Oakland picture. And so there's this idea that Oakland has nothing, when in point of fact it's further ahead than they've been led to think. So that's the only way Davis could get away with that. You know.
And I'm going to bring up this I word again. You know, Bauce, can we get the word involved trending on Twitter? That's my next question. Is it because the NFL has not been involved fully in the Oakland aspect? Because we can no longer say that Oakland has been that they're hard to work with and they're impossible. Well, Ronnie Lott came in here and got a term sheet done in under a year, something the Davis family couldn't do in 30 years. And then you have Mark Davis being called unethical by Sheldon Adelson, and in the same breath, Goldman Sachs back out of the deal. So instead of blaming other people like the city of Oakland, Libby Schaaf, Mayor Kwan, why don't we just start looking at Mark Davis and look at the NFL and say, you need to get involved in Oakland in the stadium process, set parameters, and see the entire story, not what comes out of Mark Davis's mouth.
Hey guys, you guys have a question, put it in the chat on the left. I will see and I'll ask my two. We have two of the most famous Raider fans in modern history with us tonight. Quite honored to have them here. And Boss Man on the left, and the man we know as Dr. Death, but he's without his Dr. Death Darth Vader garb on the right. So I'm honored to have both of you gentlemen.
Thank you for having us on.
Hey, thank you. And so Brian Caldwell's asks, where is Larry McNeil? Wasn't he hired to work in Oakland Stadium? And I don't, Larry hasn't been fired or anything. He's a behind-the-scenes guy. So he's around, but he wasn't in the Vegas meetings, though, okay? He wasn't. Oh, by the way, Bauce, we've got another 14 minutes until you see the movie Get Out. So I got you. Hey, there's the wife. Tell her hi.
No, that's right.
That's the little girl, man.
Girl. Okay.
The star of the show.
The star. Hi. Hey, how you doing?
Hi.
That's what my mom was watching on the side. She's.
You guys interrupted my time though over here though.
No, that's okay. My mom walked in, and she walked in as Boss was going, and her expression was like this. Oh my God, what's he saying?
But to answer Brian's calls, and Brian is a great Oakland guy, man. I mean, he's all about the A's and the Raiders. He spends his money and his time. He's a great guy of a same
It's
Oakland
involved. School. There goes that damn I word again. Involved.
Everything involved. He talks to a lot of people though, and he's really under the radar. But those of us in the know that Brian is on his stuff. But Larry McNeil, and I've talked to people. They feel that Larry McNeil, he's done all he can, but if the Raiders themselves truly aren't involved, what can he really do? Some people thought that the Raiders hired Larry McNeil just, I guess, to placate the situation, to be like, can we put somebody here? But they really never gave 100% their attention. It's just like dating a woman.
Right. Hey,
if you are really not giving her 100% of your attention, of your time, I guess, as far as commitment goes, you really are not into her, though. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the Raiders have not been 100% committed to Oakland. If they were, this thing would have been done. There are 50 people on the Forbes 400, top 400, that are living in the Bay Area. Billionaires, people that would love to invest.
Hey guys, I got some real house cleaning to do. First of all, housekeeping. I'm sorry, not clean, but housekeeping. First of all, I believe it's Paul Dog has a question. He wants you, Ray, to talk about how Mark Davis has been talking to the fans, because he said on your Periscope you talk with that, and I think he's talking about that classic Periscope with Dr. With Grizz. And then the other question is by Barry Lee is, when does the NFL say enough is enough? And then Johnny had a question. Johnny, could you repeat your question? I apologize for missing it. These things go by fast and furious. But anyway, Ray, could you talk about that, about Mark Davis versus the fans?
We were at training camp. Yeah, we were at training camp, right? And it was funny because I'm sitting at the bar having breakfast, and Mark sits down right next to me. And I don't want to be by him. I get up, and then when I get up, a few minutes after I get up and sit on the other side of, to get away from Mark. Mark Davis gets up and goes over to Grizz, and he goes to shake Grizz's hand, and Grizz goes, hey, are we going to stay in Oakland? And he goes, for now, but we're trying to Las Vegas. And I'm paraphrasing here. Grizz goes, if you leave here, we're not going to follow you. You're isolating us. And Mark pretty much said, I don't care. I don't care if I'm isolating you guys. We're going to Vegas, and that's too bad. Mm-hmm. And a lot of us, as Mark Davis was leaving and I was pulling up, everybody was like almost in a perplexed stage. And I said, what's going on here? What do you mean? Everybody was like, did you just hear what happened? And they were telling me, they said, Mark doesn't care if he isolates us and divides us. He really doesn't care. And does his actions say any different?
No.
We sell out at games. We have a season ticket wait list. You know what I would expect from Mark, and we're not going to get it. Don't expect this. But Mark really deserves an apology to this community. Mm-hmm. As we come sitting at 0-10 mm-hmm. in rain on a Thursday night, it's not fun. You
want him to apologize to the community? It sounded like you want the community to apologize to him.
He does. I don't want an apology.
Mark Davis needs to apologize to the community of Oakland and his season ticket holders.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bauce, is that for you? I mean, you don't want an apology?
No. I don't want an apology for him because it's going to be a half-ass apology.
Mm-hmm. That's true. I'll give you that. That's a good point.
You talk to San Antonio, you talk to Vegas, or you're trying really hard to go to Vegas. You try to go to LA and you pouted like a high school little girl because she didn't get on the cheerleading squad. You super have alienated, and we have to talk about that YouTube video. Mm-hmm. The guy showed Mark Davis's lies.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
that's a good one. Yeah, right.
Detailing everything about this whole thing about Mark Davis not being truthful. Everybody, you guys say he's truthful. I'll just give one lie that he said. It's all about ingress, egress, parking / tailgating. Mm-hmm. If you look at the site in Las Vegas, if they want the Russell Road site, mm-hmm. you're not going to have tailgating. Steve Sisolak is on record saying they have to have parking garages. You're not tailgating in a parking garage.
He's the Clark County supervisor. Right.
You're not doing it. It's a hazard. So I'm trying to understand why some of you outsiders, I call you guys outsiders, some of you guys who are outside the Bay Area, why are you not calling him on this? Mm-hmm. I mean, an LA guy that I used to get into it, but he private messaged me. He said, man, I went by that site. There's not going to be any tailgate. He said, that's not the Raiders. No tailgate. He said, that thing to get you revved up for the game. Mm-hmm. You're banking on people to go actually be at the casino, whether it be the Sahara, or I don't know if that's up anymore, but Planet Hollywood, MGM, New York. Those people are going to be getting tossed off some alcohol and whatever else they get a relief of mm-hmm. to tailgate there and to come to your games and provide a real football atmosphere. Mm-hmm. It's not going to happen. And I know I cue all you people saying they care about money and it's not about the fans and all that. Let me tell you something. The backbone of the NFL has been the working man, the paying guys like me and Ray. Those are the guys that have helped this league grow to what it is. And if you forget that, the NFL is going to lose itself and it's going to destroy itself, as Mark Cuban said about 2 years ago. That it's going to happen, people. You cannot have this type of greed and this type of disrespect to the people who made your family rich. Mark Davis, you guys didn't do this by yourself. From the 60s on, my grandfather was going to games at Keysar and at Laney. The Davis family didn't build this thing by themselves. The two most popular things of the Raider brand is Al Davis and the people who are there rocking the gear and yelling in those stands. You guys...
The people that are involved. Mm-hmm. That damn I word again. Involved.
Mark Davis, you have nothing. If it's not for this area, you don't have anything. And you should have more respect than you have shown to us, though. But that's okay, because you know what? People like you get what's coming to you in the end. I don't have to do nothing. Jay doesn't have to. Ray doesn't have to. The forces of nature, call it God or whatever you want to call it, it has a way of getting people back every time. None of us can escape it. And Mark Davis, your time is ticking, though. You're on borrowed time, partner, because you're not going to be the owner of the Raiders within the next 10 years. Mm-hmm. I guarantee it.
Hey, Johnny, I'm not going to answer that question. It's disrespectful to Al Davis. I'll leave it at that. The other question is that how long do you guys give Mark Davis as owner to the Raiders?
5 years max.
Mm-hmm. Max.
Hey, because guess what? Because as expenses rise and as the salary cap rises, he can't afford to pay for these top players. You still have to pay Derek Carr and Khalil Mack. They're going to want to get front-loaded contracts, not the Al Davis back-loaded
contracts. Words out my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, they're going to want signing bonuses. Like, if I sign a contract for $120 million, I want a $20 million signing bonus. The Raiders, with operational costs, payroll, and things of that nature, marketing, they're not going to be able to afford it without new revenue streams. I understand getting revenue streams, but if the Raiders are just sitting here to bleed out, as I've suggested to people, he's going to have to sell. And let me tell you something. I don't care about irrecoverable trust or whatever. Let me tell you something. If Carol Davis, the guy I saw, I met her, a very nice lady, if she passes, he's going to have to pay something. You just can't get out scot-free with that. He's going to have to drop something, and it's going to cripple him. And he can't sue the NFL if he gets denied Vegas, because if he does and you lose in an antitrust case, you have to pay the other side's fees. And the NFL's going to go out all stops because they really want you out, Mark. Jerry Jones, a lot of other owners at meetings have asked him, if you can't get this on your own, why don't you sell if you can't get anything done?
Right.
These people want him out. They want like-minded people with them in that room. And Mark Davis is not a big boy, and he's not a billionaire.
Yeah. Period.
Jump in, Ray. Go ahead.
Yeah, and you almost stole my thunder on that one. I want to add to this, right? I don't want people to watch this and be like, there they go, pro-Oakland people complaining. No, we're not complaining here. We are adding facts and dynamics that are involved in owning a multi-billion, or being involved, there goes that I word again, in a multi-billion-dollar industry. Now, for some of you that are just pure, I love Mark Davis, he's doing great. Okay, fine, let me put this in your language. How are you going to feel, if you love Mark Davis, how are you going to feel when he's not going to be able to front-load Khalil Mack's contract like Stephen Ross did for Dominic and Sue in Miami? What about that?
Right.
How are you going to be okay as a Raider fan with that? Let's put the stadium stuff aside. Screw all that. How are you going to feel when you can only pay Derek Carr, if you can pay him, and you can't front-load Khalil Mack's contract, and then you have Amari Cooper coming up? What now? How do you, because he's cut from the same cloth as Al Davis? Come on, stop it.
That's right. Hey, so guys, it's 9:52. So how much more time do we have? We have, 2 minutes?
We got a couple more minutes. We got a couple more minutes. I'll just say this. We have the NFL, let's talk some real facts. We have the NFL Finance Committee thing coming up, whether Monday or Tuesday down there in South Florida, and you have the Stadium Authority meeting coming up. If there are no financials released and there's nothing really on the table for the NFL owners to really review, how are you going to have a vote at the end of March? That's what I'm asking. I've been told by people that this thing could be pushed to May, but the longer it goes on, the worse it is for Mark Davis, because they've been trying to rush this. We heard all last year that there's going to be a vote in January.
Right.
After it was obvious January wasn't occurring, then March for sure. Certain little short guys in Las Vegas are saying there's going to be for sure a vote, and a certain hack in LA is saying there's for sure going to be a vote. It's expected in March. But when March has happened, and then we get to May, and then things are not finalized, when is there going to be a vote on this thing for Las Vegas? I'm of the opinion that this thing is on its way to dying because they don't have the finances. When the rumors of Jerry Jones are trying to save this, who makes that up? Who's really trying to make that up? I went to school at Cal State Northridge in Southern California. I've been on Hollywood sets, TV sets, all those things. Rumors just don't get started for no reason. There's something to it for that rumor to get started.
Right.
Because Mark Davis, guys, he just doesn't have the political clout. He doesn't have the savvy business-wise. He doesn't have money. And when you are in that position and you're talking about billions of dollars, you're in trouble. This thing is going to end badly for him. He should have came to Oakland and really tried to deal for real.
But right now, I will say one thing Mark has going for him in his favor. Actually, two things. First of all, he is the principal owner of the Raiders, and he could turn it around and get some, really good business savvy overnight. You never know. The right people say the right things to him.
I don't know if I have faith in him doing that.
I'm going to be I'm going to add in the possible occurrence, the possible outcome. Gentlemen, I know both of you want to get on. I don't want to get you guys divorced or anything like that. Hey,
real quick,
yeah. Take us out, Ray.
What you're talking. I just got a tweet that the Las Vegas Review-Journal just came out with something about the rent, and it highlights rent not always key indicator of the NFL stadium deal. But I haven't had a chance to read the whole thing.
Well, here's the thing. Let me tell you something. In this instance, I will say it is key because, look, I'm going to make it really simple and quick. The Stadium Events Company is the organization that runs the stadium, and basically the Raiders have to pay to them, and I don't care what direction it goes in, $1 will make them go broke, all right? The trouble is the Raiders don't want to be on the hook for that. They don't want to be responsible for the Stadium Events Company, as the Nevada legislation says they basically would be with the developer. And so the Raiders' lease proposal that they wrote initially twisted it around and had the Stadium Events Company as a person that was selected by the stadium authority, but at the love of the Raiders, okay? So the Raiders knew what they were doing. It's basically let me screw you. No, I screw you. Let me screw you, and I screw you. So whoever wrote that, the Las Vegas Review, they need to just shut up. Sorry.
Can I want to ask you guys with the meetings this Monday and Tuesday with the finance committee? Can I ask you guys before we close out, what is your guys' expectations? What do you guys see coming out of this meetings Monday and Tuesday?
Oakland smelling like a rose.
Let me answer that first. I expect for the Raiders to come up with excuses and to do the status quo. We got people lined up. There's a lot of good talks. We're not exactly there yet, but we're on track to get this thing financed. We need some more time, but we have so-and-so and so-and-so really, really heavily interested, but they're not going to be able to answer none of the tough questions. They're going to be ill-prepared to really handle this when you're getting supposedly towards the finish line. And on the Oakland side, I think there's going to be some clarity on things, but I don't know if the NFL is going to walk away 100% satisfied. But I do know this. Through all the criticisms of Libby Schaff, old girl knows how to speak.
Yep.
She knows how to do presentation.
Yep.
And she already did before November 2015. She's going to wow those owners. They like her. They like looking at her. She ain't marijuana, so guess what? I think she's definitely going to represent herself well. I think.
Did your mom laugh?
No, that's me, man. I was like,
But I really believe that she's going to really, I don't want to say turn it out, as us black folks like to say.
I think Marquand's kind of cute, actually. So.
She's close to turning it out, though, because she's been, from what I've heard from people, she has been gawking at the chance to be able to speak in front of these people one more time. Because the last time she spoke, Arthur Blank, one of the CEO from the Seahawks, and Mr. Wilf from the Minnesota Vikings, they all walked up to her. Hey, how can we help you? Let me show you how you can help her. I mean,
yep.
I told my guy in business, hey, if you really want to start a business, get this market for you, guess what? Make sure she's halfway decent, because guys will just fall googly-eyed for her, you know what? And you can get a deal done. I really think that Libby Schaff's going to represent herself well.
Yep.
And I think Vegas is going to be put in a corner, and I don't know what the Vegas side of things they're going to do, because if you have no financials, you cannot do a lease. And their next meeting is April 20th. Look at their agenda now. There's no call for any vote or anything, no real approval really going on. They're just going to give an update, everybody.
Yeah.
They're not ready.
No, I'll tell you what's going to happen. First of all, this is the first time in NFL history, that a team owner has been literally pitted against the mayor of the host city. The team owner is in. And Oakland will prevail because it's the first time that Oakland gets to tell it, technically the second time, that Oakland gets to tell its story and show people, the NFL owners, that they really are ready. So out of this, I expect equalization. Some people, the usual suspects, are going to say something bad about Oakland, going to try to, but it's going to be countered by a lot of good news, and it's going to make Vegas look bad. Period.
Yeah, you know what I think? So here's a couple of things to it, right? Oakland doesn't own the Raiders. Ronnie doesn't own the Raiders. How I see it, the best thing that they can really do is set up the best parameters for the Raiders to come to the table. That's the point, is parameters.
Right.
Because as I've told people, when you offer a deal and you start with it, you're not going to end with exactly what you started. So let's say there's something that the NFL doesn't really like. Who's to say that, hey, Mark, if you come to the table, we can't negotiate unless you're there at the end of the table with me. We can set up a parameters, say, starting point, right? But here's the one thing that I think baffles me. I think it's quite bleeping hilarious when people say that this is political cover for Oakland. I got news for you. This is win-win for Libby, okay?
Yes.
If the Raiders stay responsible and they don't spend a dime other than infrastructure that's already earmarked, she wins. She's great. But then if she stands up to the NFL and spends no public money and the Raiders leave, she still wins because she's seen as standing up to the NFL. So I don't know what kind of political cover anybody's talking
Well, here's the thing I have to add then. We're committed for $250 million. Hey, boss, I'm going to give you the last one so you can get us out of here. Go for it.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a tough, long ride. We've been on this journey really since the end of 2011 when Coliseum City's idea was first introduced over by Mayor Kwan. We're coming to a close. In 2017, this Vegas charade is going to die. You're going to be tailgating for years at 7000 Coliseum Way in Oakland, California, 94621. Just hold on and be strong, everybody. Mark Davis is not what you think he is. He is not all-powerful. He is not omnipresent. He's not omnipotent like the Almighty. Quit bowing down to him. Quit being scared. Anytime you guys read a headline, everybody gets scared. Stop being scared. These three gentlemen you see on your screen right here, they're the ones to follow. Not some hick down in North Carolina. Not some little short, insecure weeb in Las Vegas. These guys right here are the guys to follow because we were right before and we're going to be right again.
There we go. Hey, thank you all so much. And we're going to do this again. We'll do it.
Definitely.
Again. Hey, thank you all so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, guys. Hey, have a good one.
You too.
Thanks for having me.
Let me know how the movie goes, man.
I will.
All right. See ya. Thank you.
All right, guys. Bye-bye.
Okay, see ya.